This is about SITATI, who disappeared or was kidnapped. Let's say, yeah, that is better. He was kidnapped in 1989. Now, from 1989, that is 35, 36 years ago. The last time I checked, he had not been found. So we say lost, presumed dead. It is a moving story. Kindly share with other people. I was going to Mandera from Nairobi, boarded a bus at Isili, the first bus. The bus had only 2 stops. In Garisa, you change a bus, you leave the bus that you are in, go to the second bus and sit on the same seat. If your seat is number 7, you go to the other bus on seat number 7. After refreshments, the vehicle goes. It will go up to Wajir, and the only place it will stop is at Madogashe. Then from there it will reach Wajir after 13 hours. We left Nairobi at 5 a.m. and arrived in Wajir at 7 p.m. There you have to sleep. Then the following day, you board another bus from the same company, and by lunchtime, you would be in Mandera town. Now, while we woke up in the morning in Wajir, that is when we had rumors that the second bus that followed our bus had been attacked. Just that. So we boarded the vehicle, reached Mandera at lunchtime. By evening, the full report had arrived that between Mwingi and Garisa, a bus had been stopped and the people were looted at gunpoint. Then the story ended there. Edward, I can't recall his real Christian name, but I think it is Edward Makale, a village mate of mine. At the time when I was in school, or between his father ceased working as the area assistant chief between the time when I had completed school and the time when I was employed. So he called me at Mandera. We sat down. He told me that he was expecting a large sum amount of money. He had stayed for over an year without pay. So he wanted me to advise him on only one thing. Because once the salary comes, he had received his pay slip. Once his salary comes, obviously he'll be given days off to go home. And when he goes home, he will invest the money whatever he had done. So that is 13 times your salary. And he told me that SITATI, there were 2 SITATIs in Mandera. Then one of the SITATIs, who was not directly related to him, he was asking me on how to treat him. He told me that for the whole year, he has been without a salary and he has been working. He has been staying, been accommodated free of charge by SITATI, who is not closely related to him. He had been occupying in his house. He has been feeding in his house. The toothpaste, the omo, the soap were SITATIs. So he told me, as somebody who comes from his village, to advise him on what to give SITATI. I told him, then he told me, because he used to smoke, and drink. He told me that whenever he felt like smoking, SITATI would tell him that pesa ya sigara na pesa ya pombe you'll give me back. But a house I've given you free, food I've given you free, bathing and washing is free. But whenever he wanted to buy a packet of cigarette, he would go to SITATI and say, I want to buy a packet of Sportsman. SITATI would take money and go and write that in his book. Whenever he felt like taking alcohol used to be served 3 times. There was a one bar that used to serve only twice in a month. After selling the whole beer, then he would take a lorry to go to Isiolo and bring others. So we used to get it around, if not 3 days a month, then twice a month. Otherwise, you would go and drink at the army camp, or you cross over to Ethiopia, which was less than 4 kilometers away, to go and drink from there. Whenever he wanted alcohol, SITATI would give him money to buy alcohol and write in the book. So I told him the first thing, because SITATI is in Nairobi, when he comes, let him take out the book and whatever he has written, because it is quite possible that maybe he gave you money 20 times and maybe he had added 4 or 5 times, so he's asking you for 25. Whatever he'd have written there, that on such and such a day I gave you 200 shillings, such and such a day I gave you 100. Don't dispute that. Just add up that money and give him. After giving him, go with him to his employer, seek for permission for him, take him to his home, Moist Bridge. When you go to Moist Bridge, talk to his wife, go to the nearest marketplace, buy a calf. Tell the wife that she's married to an angel, so that when this calf is ready, she would be drinking milk, knowing that her husband is an angel. With that, Edward Makare accepted that is what he was to do. Only for us later to learn that the lorry, the bus that people had been kidnapped, SITATI, who was not his direct relative, was in it, and he was nowhere to be seen. Then those people who had been with him in the vehicle said that one of them, can't recall, he was a Kikuyu by tribe, but a teacher at Ramu Primary School. He was a schoolmate in Bungoma High. When I was in Form 6, he was in Form 1. He's the one who told us that he's the last person to have seen SITATI, who is not directly related to Edward. He told us that that SITATI and him, when these shifters, for the millenniums, let us call them Al-Shabaab. These Al-Shabaabs, when they caught up with him, with the bus, they took out people who were well built, including this Kikuyu teacher of Ramu, who was my former schoolmate at Bungoma, and SITATI and others. Now, those things which were looted, it was the duty of SITATI and this teacher and others to take them out of the main road into the forest. Now, when they were shown point A and B, from the bus to a certain field there where they were to place the things and come. After 2 to 3 trips, they were left to walk up and down alone. And then they reached a place, I don't know whether you know of such a situation, when 2 people just imagine something at the same time and decide to do it even without talking. So they decided to run. And then they are running. SITATI was faster than Mwalimu, and they were going in one direction. And there are these bushes which are, in Northeastern, trees are not tall as those in Mount Kenya. You can see somebody. So he saw SITATI ahead of him, and SITATI had could be seen waist up. As he was running, Mwalimu was following Sitati. And then suddenly Sitati raised up his hands. He said, "Don't kill me, don't shoot me, take everything you want, but let me be alive." You see Mwalimu seeing that, he changed the direction and went another direction and ended up on the road. Now, in a desert, you don't know whether this is the road going to east or west. So he just followed one direction, and there he was picked. Sitati has never been seen again for life, up to the last time I checked. Now, this is what happened. In the Ministry of Water, the Ministry of Water had sent people to all over the country, including Wajir and Mandera and Garisa. And if you know, Wajir has only one seasonal river, which the water runs only two months a year. So what do the Ministry of Water do? They have boreholes and government-run Yamaha generators. So these people, they usually service and inspect the generators, and they are usually idle in their place of work. When they are idle at their place of work, they look at each other. You see, for example, they are 12, so and so goes on this month leave, and then they decide to leave one person instead of 12 in the office. This person, he's supposed to be going up and down to do all the work of the 12 people, and these other ones just go and stay at home. Their salaries, of course, they have placed in the bank, so they get the bank. At the end of the month, they discover there is no salary. And then when they inquire with the person who is in Mandera, and you see this person who is in Mandera is the one who is going next month on leave. So he applies for leave, because you used to apply for leave 1 month before you go on leave. So this fellow, he applies for leave. As he's waiting, that is the time he waits. And then if it is your turn to apply for leave next month, you are supposed to go next month, you come for that 1 month and apply for leave and be the one working for that. But occasionally, the personnel from Maji House would come abruptly, and everybody who was absent, they would write show cause letters, and they would stop their salary. So this person would leave his home, wherever he is, and go to Maji House and start canvassing to be returned to the payroll. But it used to take shorter time, but for Edward Makare, it took a total of 12 months. And that is the time when you apply and then you go to your station. So when he was at his station, that is when he could not pay rent, and that is when another Sitati, who was now his close relative, a real cousin, Edward's mother and the other Sitati father were siblings, so they were first cousins. When he went to his cousin to be accommodated, he refused. He said, in town, you don't have to rely on me. So the other Sitati, who was from the same clan, now accommodated him. In Luhya, if somebody is of the same clan with your mother, you consider him your cousin. Or if that person is of the same clan as you consider him as your sibling. So the other distant relative accommodated him. That is the time when Wanyika used to play. Please go to YouTube, play the song from Wanyika called Kwa Nini Waniacha. That is the time when that song was there. And every time Edward Sitati would hear that song, would cry. Now, I don't know whether he bought the calf the way we had agreed or not, but whenever that song would sing, Edward Makare would start crying. Then, many years later, many years later, when the radio stations now started this system of calling. You make a call and say you want to greet so and so. I one time rang one of the stations and told them this story. And I told them, can you, look, I didn't tell them the long story because it cannot take 15 minutes to tell that story. But I just said that Edward Makale, whenever he hears the song, Kwa nini waniacha, he cries. And you know what? When the announcer heard that, he played that song, and the people who were, Luhias during a funeral, they have a bonfire outside the home. When they were listening to that radio, they were at the funeral of Edward Makale, and they thought that maybe I knew he had died. I knew that his funeral was on, and that is why I had requested the song, Kwa nini waniacha na mi bado nakupenda. Viewers, that is how this time was, and I believe it is still, because Al-Shabaab is there. The only difference between then and now is that when you are traveling to Mandera, your family monitors you through phone calls. And if anything happens, and even we have even this social media where they say a bus has been attacked at Kotulo. By the way, from Nairobi to Mandera, the worst places are two. Kotulo, which is at the border of Wajir and Mandera. And then there is a place called Arabia and Fino. I don't know why people insist traveling on that. You follow the Kenya-Somali border at from southeast to northeast. And the whole road, you are 2 kilometers from Somalia. They can attack you and go back. I don't know why. I've never used that road, by the way. From Elwak, I always used the Elwak Ramu, then from Ramu to Mandera. That one is safe because since the only time Kenya and Ethiopia were not on good terms was during the Second World War, when Ethiopia was under Italian. Otherwise, forever Kenya and Ethiopia have been friends, and from Mandera all the way to Moyale, it is relatively safe as compared to the other road. Thank you.